Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. Instead of just giving you a dry, chapter-by-chapter summary of Michael Watkins' legendary book, The First 90 Days, I want you to think of this as a premium system walkthrough. You are the architect, and we're about to install a brand new operating system for your career. Because whether you're starting a new job, taking on a big project, or getting a massive promotion, transition periods are absolutely critical. If you try to run your new role on your old operating system, your old habits, well, your system is going to crash.
So consider your system upgrade initiating right now. Stepping into a new leadership role? That is a high-stakes software installation. We are totally bypassing all that standard surface-level advice today. Instead, we're accessing the core developer mode algorithms drawn directly from the chapters of Watkins' framework. We are literally going to rewrite how you approach any new professional challenge.
Okay, here is our installation protocol, our boot menu, if you will. We've got 6 key modules to unlock today: breaking the break-even point, intercepting the 7 initial viruses, the STARS situation matrix, the 5 key alignment conversations, influence and team rebuilding, and finally, your 90-day master timeline. Let's make sure this transition goes smoothly.
Let's dive straight into Module 1, breaking the break-even point. The fundamental law of any career transition is this: every single new role starts out as a massive drain on resources.
Think about it. When you first start out, you are deep in the red. You're consuming time, energy, and training just by being there. You're trying to learn the ropes, figure out all those unwritten rules, and, let's be honest, frantically trying to locate the coffee machine.
To use the book's terms, when you're in that red zone, you are a net consumer. The entire goal of this explainer is to get you to the break-even point where you cross over and become a net contributor, meaning you're finally adding more value to the organization than you're taking out. Now, the average leader takes a full 180 days to reach this point. That's 6 months. But our protocol, it cuts that entirely in half. We are aiming for an aggressive 90 days.
All right, moving into Module 2, intercepting initial viruses. Before you can even think about adding value, we need to go on high alert and make sure you don't accidentally trigger fatal system errors.
These are the fatal bugs that trip up most new leaders, heavily detailed in the early chapters of the book. The core issue here is actually really simple. You're trying to use an old operating system to play a brand new game. And doing that, it pretty much guarantees a system crash.
Let's rapidly quarantine these 7 bugs. Number 1, sticking with what you know. 2, the action imperative. This is a huge one. It's that overwhelming urge to act way too fast just to prove yourself. 3, setting unrealistic expectations. 4, attempting to do too much at once. 5, coming in with the answer before you've even bothered to listen. 6, prioritizing technical learning over cultural learning. And 7, neglecting your horizontal relationships. Listen, if you give into that action imperative and ignore your peers because you're only focused on managing up, the organization's immune system is going to completely reject you. No doubt about it.
So how do you actually know what the right action is? That brings us to Module 3, the STARS situation matrix. You know the old saying, right? To a person with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, it is time to upgrade your toolkit.
STARS stands for the 5 types of business environments you might be inheriting: startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, and sustaining success. The absolutely crucial point here is that you have to rigorously diagnose your specific environment before you pick your leadership style. What works like magic in a startup will completely blow up in your face during a realignment.
Let's just contrast 2 extremes to really highlight why this matters. A turnaround, that is a burning platform. The company is failing and it desperately needs a hero to step in, make rapid triage decisions, and execute fast. But then look at realignment. The organization is just slowly drifting off course. On the outside, it probably still looks successful. If you come charging in acting like a sword-wielding hero, you are going to alienate everyone. For a realignment, you need to be a steward, someone who uses careful diplomacy to shift the culture without triggering an immune response. Make sense?
Okay, Module 4, the 5 key alignment conversations. This is all about managing upwards, because your boss is your primary resource allocator. Think of your vital resources as being locked up tightly behind 5 specific padlocks. Proactive alignment with your boss is your absolute strongest firewall against failure. Don't sit around waiting for your boss to schedule these chats. You are the architect, remember? You need to initiate them.
Let's methodically break down these 5 conversations. First, situational diagnosis. You and your boss absolutely must agree on which STARS state you're actually in. Second, expectations. Exactly how is your success going to be measured in the short and medium term? Third, resources. You've got to negotiate your budget, headcount, and, very importantly, your boss's political capital. Fourth, style. How often are you communicating, and how? And fifth, personal development. Look, expectations and resources have to be explicitly negotiated. You can never ever just assume them.
Let me pause here and challenge you directly for a second. Think about your current role or the one you're about to step into. Have you explicitly aligned your success metrics with your boss, or are you just kind of operating on assumptions? If it's the latter, you need to get those conversations on the calendar immediately. Unspoken assumptions are literally the bugs that will crash your career software.
All right, we've managed up. Let's hit Module 5, Influence and Team Building. This is where we focus horizontally and downward. How do you map the network around you, and what do you do with the team you just inherited? When you look at the influence landscape in any company, you quickly realize that direct authority is almost never enough to actually get things done. You've got to map out the network. Categorize the key players into 3 buckets: your supporters who share your vision, the persuadables who are essentially swing voters, and the opponents who are threatened by your changes.
Now, to win over those persuadables, you have to locate the hidden power centers. Who are the integrators in your office? The project managers who know how all the different departments connect. And who are the natural historians, those veterans who know all the unwritten rules in office politics? I challenge you to identify these highly credible folks as soon as possible. They're your key to flipping the persuadables and isolating your opponents.
Once your network is mapped, you have to assess your direct reports. The book gives us an algorithm with 6 strict decision pathways for inherited teams. Based on their trust, focus, energy, and judgment, you put them into one of these buckets: retain and develop, move to a new role, replace later, replace now, or place under observation. The real kicker here? You need to make these strategic decisions within your first 30 days. You don't have to fire or move everyone right that second, but the strategic decision has to be locked in. And that brings us to our final module, the 90-day timeline. Let's pull all these frameworks, matrices, and algorithms together into one master schedule.
Think of this as your full 90-day trajectory. Notice that your transition isn't just some flat line where you're constantly learning. It actually moves in phases, from early scanning and learning all the way up to a peak period of structural conflict, where the real, heavy lifting changes happen. Let's break this timeline down into actionable chunks. By day 30, you finish the transition wave. That means diagnosing your STARS situation, having those 5 critical conversations with your boss, and evaluating your inherited team. By day 60, you're in the immersion wave, securing early wins to build up your credibility and mapping out your influence network. Finally, day 90 is the reshaping wave. This is when you make the big structural changes, move out mismatched team members, and hit peak conflict. But here's the brilliant part. Because you just spent 60 days building credibility and strong alliances, the system isn't going to crash when you make those hard calls.
And just like that, your system upgrade is complete. So why does mastering this source code matter so much? Well, statistically, the average leader goes through some form of major career transition every 1.3 years. Think about that. You aren't just going to use this information once. This is an operating system you're going to deploy repeatedly for the rest of your professional life.
I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. From today on, you are no longer just a reader of this explainer. You are the architect of your own transitions. So, are you ready for deployment? Take these modules, map your network, align with your boss, and go secure those early wins. Thanks so much for joining me today, and good luck out there in the field.